Because if their priority is fitting in and making the right connections,
I don't know if their
and
priority
getting the right
is
seniority. Well, you just told me it is.
Okay, when they go there, their priority isn't
Right.
that. But when they get there, it doesn't become a priority because they
But if
they
we
want
elect
it to.
people who really have other things going on in their lives and really don't want to be away from the family for more than a couple of terms and really don't want to join the right clubs and live in the right places.
That's very possible.
You know, I get a sense from some of these Tea Party people that this is not going to be the rest of their life, and I think that's a very good thing.
Until they get there, because they're in the system that already exists. And some of these people are a little nutty, okay? A lot of them are driven by this religious kind of underlying values. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Like
Lisa, what do you mean? Right and wrong, don't steal, do the right thing? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not
those crazy
talking about
ideas.
that.
That's just insane to believe in that.
Oh, okay, fine. Because everything would be run from, from that level. Well, God wouldn't want me to do this.
Judeo-Christian ethics? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I am talking about the extreme. I'm talking about the extreme.
I don't know anybody of the Tea Party folks that I have met who is extreme.
Well, maybe here there aren't. I don't know. I don't know any of them.
They're just like you and me.
Well, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Well, they're willing to get out and get involved. And
That's
you have to
it.
give
Well,
them
that's what I'm saying.
credit
They're shaking things up.
What is different about them, Lisa, that makes you uncomfortable? I mean, just get right to the point. What is the difference with these people that makes you uncomfortable?
Well, I think it's because of what I just said. That he disagrees with
that they
me
are
on.
overtly religious.
I think that somewhere there is an underlying. That's what their whole thing is based on.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not true.
That and the taxes thing, or it just depends on what day it is too. I mean,
let me ask you this: would you define belief in government as a religion? Is belief that every good thing comes from government, that the answer to every problem is more spending?
No.
I mean, isn't that kind of a belief system?
Yes.
Haven't we been governed by that belief system? I'm not saying I endorse everybody's belief system, but we've got one in there now that is corrupt, that has failed us. If there are competing belief systems,
Absolutely
I'm
both
all
sides.
for
I
them.
know you say that.
I'm all for them.
I know that.
Listen.
So how do you fix it? You have all the Tea Partiers get in there? I mean,
It's
Well,
real.
the voters are at fault as well
I
because
agree.
we have the right to make that choice, and too many people choose not to make the choice.
The choice that's made most often is name recognition. And that is really insane, but it's true. When people go to vote and they don't know who they're voting for, a lot of times...
How can you say that when incumbents are getting thrown out in primary
now,
after primary?
I think, but now
And that's,
things maybe
Lisa?
but that was what was going... That's
Oh,
why
sure.
these people have been in there for years
But that
and years
is
and
starting
years.
to change.
That's a
Now it is.
result of the Tea Party folks igniting this, what is popularly called a tsunami. You wait and see how many people are going to vote in this election. It's going to stun everybody, and it's real simple. All these things we cry about, we carp about, it shouldn't be so. Yes, it should not be so. The only way to do it is to elect people, Democrat or Republican, that agree to push through term limits and agree to a balanced budget amendment. Now you're talking about doing something. Now you're going somewhere. Now you are proposing principles that almost every American can agree with.
This is my dream. Yes, I agree with you. Wouldn't it be a nice thing to have people in there that run for office, that get elected, that agree with each other, and just take the party thing out of it? That would be an amazing thing. I would love to see that. I think we all would love to see that.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a little more optimistic about it, but I don't see it happening.
And I don't see the vote increasing. I don't see more people getting out and voting.
I see us agreeing on more stuff
Wait
than
till
not
this election.
agreeing.
You'll see.
All right, you know what?
It will break all kinds.
We need to remember that we sat here and said this.
We will remember that we
It's
sat
on
here and
tape.
said
Oh,
these
well,
things.
it's going to be on tape.
And it will be on the
It's
internet
all
forever.
over the internet.
And we'll be back with more Gang of Four on a Friday morning on News Talk 550 KTSA. KTSA News Time, 10:26. Jack Riccardi, 10 to 1. Gang of Four is on for a Friday morning. Later in the show, in our noon hour, a guy who says not only can you guard your privacy in this internet era, but you can drop off the grid completely. You can disappear. And he's going to show us how to do it.
I've already
unless
done
he
it.
Unless
Not
he disappears.
today.
Yeah, you should see my ratings. I've already disappeared. Anyway, unless he disappears before noon, he'll be on our show today. His name is Frank Ahern, and he's an expert on how to drop off the grid. Anybody here want to drop off the grid?
I do.
I'm off.
I just want to go to an island and sit on the beach and not have to deal with
I
this
actually
anymore.
had someone come up to me the other day and say, if you were on Facebook, you would know what was going on in my life. And I was like,
great.
I don't want to know
so much
what's
wrong with
going
that
on.
statement.
Don't
funny.
care.
But I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on any of that other stuff. All I do is
We love you
email
anyway.
and landline telephones.
We love you anyway.
Cool.
Thank
Go,
you.
Cathey.
All right. So we're talking about this Tea Party movement. The Republicans, I think you said something that's very true. This pledge to America, this pledge to nothing, really is the result of them feeling the heat
The bridge to nowhere.
of the Tea Party movement. That this document would not have been generated, but for the fact that Republicans are feeling it. However, Doug, do they get it? I don't think they get it.
They don't get it. Establishment Republicans don't get it, just like establishment Democrats don't. Now, there are some kernels in this pledge. The one thing that I like the most, if they do it, is to every bill that comes up, they give everybody 3 days to read the doggone bill. The other thing that I like is that every bill that they are going to propose has to pass constitutional muster. It has to be looked at in light of, is it
So it goes to
appropriate
the
to the
Supreme Court
Constitution?
first?
No, it's just listen.
Isn't it interesting
not
that
that
people
difficult.
assume? Isn't it that people assume only the Supreme Court
It's not
can
that
interpret the
difficult.
Constitution?
Well, they have the final say.
Yeah, but I mean, members of Congress should be conversant enough
Should
in the
be able
Constitution
to-
to
And
know
the three-
whether they have the power to
And
do
the 3
something.
days to read the bill, the Congress members aren't reading the bill. Their staff is reading the bill, and that's who's
Well,
reading it already.
maybe we'll get some folks in there who will change it. You know, a typical example. Do you know, and I just found this out a couple of days ago, do you know part of the health bill is going to tax you on selling your home 3.9%? Did you know that? That's in the health care bill. If
Well,
you
they
sell-
told us
if
that
you
we wouldn't find out what was in it.
Exactly. Won't find out until it's passed. And every realtor I know is absolutely up in arms. Here's 4% right off the top. If you sell your house today, it's already lost a tremendous amount of value. Nobody knew that was in there.
Yeah.
What else is in there?
Yeah. Well, let me,
Horrible stuff.
let
Death
me-
panels.
let me ask you
Absolutely.
this. Let me ask
Like
you
it's
this.
not there now.
Are we, because the public is prepared to turn out a lot of people and elect a lot of new people, and there is this great enthusiasm around this Tea Party movement, are we setting up for an inevitable disappointment when in 2011, John Boehner is the speaker, they're not keeping their pledge, these newly elected people who are very zealous are surrounded by these cynical career politicians who are still in there, and the American public is going, yeah, but we thought, we were expecting, we thought there'd be change. Will these Republican and Tea Party voters, in other words, be very much like Barack Obama's voters are right now? Like that lady who stood up at the town hall meeting this week and
she's
said,
tired of
I'm
defending him."
exhausted. Will the Republican and Tea Party voters be like that next year?
Possible. Definitely.
And then what
possible.
happens?
Well, then you just
Same
got to
thing.
reload. I mean, here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that enough.
Could you define
folks-
reload?
Who reloads? What?
You have.
He meant intellectually reload.
No, you just go off to the range again and get some new folks
But
in
who
there
goes?
the next time.
Who's doing that? Who's coordinating it? Who's organizing
That's
it?
the great
It's
thing
the
about
same people.
That's the great thing about the Tea Party movement. It is not a typical political organization.
Does it
It's-
have to become one?
No, it does not. What
Does
you
it
do
need
is,
to become a third party?
No, it does not. What you do is whether
Like
you,
the Fourth
you
Network.
put in Democrats or Republican that adhere to these principles that we all know that work. And I don't need to lay them out once again. But if we don't have enough folks in there to make change, vote these folks who are, if they demonstrate that they're trying to make change, they're trying to govern by a rule of a balanced budget and limited government. If they can't get it done this time, keep those folks and then get a whole new group because
Yeah, but you know what? You're
there's
looking
another
at-
election in
you're
2 more
looking at a
years.
demographic coming up right now. When you look at the youth that are coming into adulthood and voting age right now, this has got to be the most uninformed group of individual or group of
I agree.
undereducated. They're not into politics. I don't think they understand the concept of taxes and responsibility of
And
just
the evidence
living
of
life.
that, the evidence of that was the election of Barack Obama.